Hey, how are you? Mike Demora, NCP Fitness here in Redondo Beach, California. Are your clients hitting their goals month after month after month? If not, why not? So I have a pretty good idea of why they're maybe not hitting their goals, right? So let me give you a whole rundown of what's going on for the most part. See, if a client's working out by themselves, it's very possible they're not working out hard enough. But if a trainer is working out with a group, it's probably very possible they're working out too hard. And you're asking me like, what do you mean too hard? What do you mean? Okay, so let's talk about this. I know we go over it in our standard course, but I want to make sure everyone's getting it because most people just don't get it. So first I want to draw attention to you. Do you see this on my arm? What is this? Well, it's called a Fitbit, right? I don't care what you use, whether you use an Apple Watch, a Fitbit, an Android watch, whatever, a polar heart rate monitor, whatever you're doing, if you're training people and you're not using a heart rate, you're guessing. And if you don't do the right tests on them, you're still guessing, even if you have a heart rate monitor on. So let's talk about this. Let's make sure we understand what's going on. People aren't getting their goals because, once again, they are not working in the right range, right? They're not training correctly. Let's talk about that a little bit. If they're in a group, do you understand that when you're working out in a group, you're going to work out and the instructor's going to yell out, hey, work out, we're okay. Like let's say a spin class. They're going, okay, pump it up, right? But here's the thing. If they're not wearing a heart rate monitor, how do they know where they are? Are they anaerobic? Are they aerobic? Are they in their fat burning zone? Are they doing the things that they want to do or not? So what happens is it's just random. Guys, the best marksman in the world can't hit the mark if he or she doesn't know what the hell they're shooting at. So unfortunately, so many trainers don't even have a mark that they're shooting at. So our clients are literally working out blindly. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know why they're doing it. They don't know at what level. Guys, if we're not using a heart rate monitor and we don't know how our clients are doing, then we are just guessing. Here's another little thing, just a little hint. Did you know, let's talk about cardiovascular training. Let's define it. Cardio is defined as what? Heart. Training is defined at what? Systematically challenging oneself or challenging to become more efficient. So cardiovascular training is what? Challenging the heart to become more efficient at pumping rich oxygenated blood throughout the system. Okay, that makes sense. And to systematically challenge it to become more efficient at bringing oxygenated blood throughout the system. So question, where in that definition does it say lose weight? It doesn't. So I still see trainers constantly saying, okay, I'm going to work on this, but you know what? Do your cardio on your own because that's how you're going to lose weight. Okay, there's a whole big problem with that whole statement, but let's just try to break it down to its easiest parts. First off, no one dies from a small bicep, but people die from cardiovascular disease every 14 seconds in America. Every 14 seconds, someone in America dies from cardiovascular disease. So to tell somebody, oh, just do it on your own, doesn't make a lot of sense. Next, if they are walking around unarmed, not knowing their numbers, you're doing them a disservice. So let's talk about those numbers. Let's talk about true scientific numbers versus the numbers that are being thrown around. Now look, we all know the formula. 220 minus your age is equal to your predicted maximum heart rate. Is that truly a maximum heart rate? No, it's nothing more than a guess. Now we know we train people or we test them at 40 to 60% of their max. But once again, that's only a guess. It's only a guess. The number that we're really trying to search for and find is called our what? Anaerobic threshold. Anaerobic threshold is the time at which an individual goes from having enough oxygen to not having enough oxygen. Remember, the definition of anaerobic means what? Not enough oxygen. Aerobic means plenty of oxygen. So let's talk about that for a second. If an individual is working out and they can say 4 words without gasping for breath, that means they are still aerobic. Okay? Now, if they can't say 4 words, I am not doing okay, right? Then you need to say that they are anaerobic. The minute they're not able to say those 4 words is their anaerobic threshold. How are you going to know that number? If they don't have a heart rate monitor, if you don't have a heart rate monitor on watching them, if you don't know where they're at, then you're guessing. You're guessing. Remember, someone could not be working hard at all and be like, just totally messing with you because they don't want to work out too hard. On the opposite way, someone could be really, really cranking, anaerobic, almost ready to fall over, and they're like, I'm fine, right? They can't say 4 words. They can just throw out those 2. But how long are you going to go on guts and will alone? Not very long. So what you need to do is you need to find that anaerobic threshold and come down about 10 beats, right? That is the sweet spot. That is where you want most people training most of the time. Now look, there are a couple little tricks and tips that you want to get into a little bit more, of course, but that's the generic, that is what's really, it's going to set you apart from the generic trainers who don't know what they're doing, who don't have those numbers, who don't. Now you give those numbers to your client and you say, look, if you're going to do a group exercise class, that's great, fantastic, no problem. But now you have your numbers. Now, for every amount that you go into that anaerobic threshold, above that number, you want to spend 3 times that amount below that number. 3 times that amount. So if you go up for a minute, you need to come down and be under that for 3 minutes. And that's another part that people aren't doing. So here's what happens. Let's say my anaerobic threshold is about 145. So I'm going to take my heart rate up to about 150, 155. I'm going to do that for a minute. Now, as I come down, if I'm not in shape, what happens is, how long do you think it takes me to get from 155 to my safety zone at 135? Well, let's say it takes me, 60 seconds, 70 seconds, 80 seconds. But you're only giving me a 1 minute break, 60 seconds. Or some of these crazy instructors are giving 30-second breaks. Then what happens? Well, maybe I get from 155 to 145, but I'm sure not down to 135. And you know what? I'm still anaerobic. So I've never even come into my aerobic base. I've never replenished my oxygen source. I've never cleaned all of my body out ready for the next thing, right? I haven't replenished it with more oxygen. And so what happens? It means I stay anaerobic for a long, long period of time. And guys, that can be 1, dangerous, and 2, can actually make you fatter. Yes, it can actually make you fatter. If you stay anaerobic too long, your body will actually start eating its own muscle tissue to find energy, to find anything it can. Do you understand how terrible that is? That's why, look, if you look around your group exercise class, do you see the most fit, unbelievably in shape folks? Even if they go to class 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week, you look at them and go, I would have thought that they'd be looking a little better, feeling a little better, moving a little better with the amount of work that they're putting in. It's not their fault. But if you're a trainer, it's your fault. If you are a trainer, it's your fault. You should know this stuff. You should know how to train someone. Once again, I'm not here to yell at you. I'm just here to really enlighten you and just make sure that you're doing the right stuff. All right, that's enough for me now. It's already been 9 minutes. I hope you really took this to heart. Take care. I'll see you next week. God bless.